All right. Welcome, YouTubers, to Halfling Wizard. Today I have Amber in with me just to do a little interview about her character in the Orlea, Gods of Orlea campaign, the temporal campaign that I created. And uh, if you wouldn't mind to start out a little bit, tell us a little bit, like, how long have you been playing D&D?
Uh,
Um, Go ahead.
I started playing D&D in the summer of 2015, so 5 years.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's funny. I thought you were playing longer than that.
Well, we kind of did an off and on thing and like starting in December of 2014, when our GM Austin would come in from college and we would like play in person, but we didn't really do a whole lot. We would occasionally do like an online thing and roll 20, but for the most part, we didn't start like heavily playing until the summer of 2015.
Oh, okay.
That's when we started our Pathfinder campaign that went for almost 4 years.
Right. Yeah, I heard many stories about that one. So
So,
Pathfinder is what you started with?
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
and personally, I think Pathfinder in some aspects is a little more complicated than D&D itself.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a very brief encounter with it when I played with you guys at one time,
Hmm.
playing that NPC character. And yeah, there's a lot more paperwork involved with
There's a
Pathfinder.
lot of paperwork involved, so it was really weird for me to go from 4 years of intensive Pathfinder to a more lenient D&D system.
Right. Yeah.
And so, like in some aspects, I keep trying to overcomplicate how things work, and then it's just like, no, it's you're overthinking it.
Yeah. I think, I think 5e is a lot closer to like 1 and 2, the first and second editions.
I
It's,
have
it's,
no
it,
idea.
it feels a little more user friendly. Pathfinder to me I felt very complex.
It
And
is.
yeah, I mean, even just watching you guys play that one encounter, I was just like, oh my goodness. And yeah, so okay, that's cool. So Pathfinder was basically your introduction into this world, I guess.
Technically,
I,
technically, the first time I played it, but I grew up. My mom and stepdad played the original D&D,
oh,
and
cool.
and then they
I,
also played BattleTech, which is like a mechanized version of.
yes, I know BattleTech. Yeah, I
I
know
used to
BattleTech.
uh, I used to help my stepdad paint minis and build minis for BattleTech when I
Oh,
was five.
that's awesome. I never played BattleTech, but I'm very familiar with it.
I don't remember. I
Um,
never really got to play, so I don't remember a whole lot from it. But it was fun to build the minis, the solid metal minis.
oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. They were very metal. Um, I started out with edition one. I was introduced to that, and I went to two, and then after two, I just sort of stopped playing for many years, and then was reintroduced to 5e when we all started getting together.
Oh wow.
That was it. Yeah, I had not played much. I actually had never GM'd at all. Like, back then they were called DMs, Dungeon Masters, but I know they switched over to GMs now. But um, so I playing wise, we used to play in college, and I had a D&D group that I played with there, and when I was talking with Lisa before, my character that I play in Austin's campaign is actually based on my original character
Really?
from way back in the day. Yeah. So I thought I'd resurrect him, go a little bit different with him, but he's basically the same. So speaking of characters, let's talk about yours. Your
Okay.
character in this campaign has gone through some changes.
That
Uh,
a little bit.
so let's talk about Arson. That's Amber's character. Before that change, let's talk about Let's talk about when you were first building her. Like, what were what were your goals when you were building her? Like, what were you thinking about, and what were you wanting when you were building her at the beginning?
So, personality-wise, I usually kind of gravitate towards a very similar, like headstrong, semi-violent murder hobo, uh, which I find funny because that's complete opposite of what I'm like in real life.
Right.
Uh, but express some anger that way.
Yeah.
Um, and so I normally gravitate towards that, but with the original version of Arson, I wanted to do something a little bit different, more kind of not quite as violent.
Yeah,
And
she was much different than your character in Austin's campaign. I mean, they're completely different.
oh man, yeah, my character in Austin's campaign is a war general.
Yeah. Yeah, so
uh,
this Arson was much softer. I was, and I will say I was pleasantly surprised that you actually not, I mean, I was surprised that that she was that she was going to be such a soft character. Yeah, and when I say soft, I don't mean weak. I mean like, but just sort of like softer than normal. So I was like, wow, okay, go, because I've seen all of your previous characters and how you're right, murder hobo-ish they are. Um, and which I was giving you credit for. Lisa and I talked many times about it, and I gave you credit for it because I was like, that was cool because it's really kind of, it feels like you were stepping out of your comfort zone
mhm.
and playing something that isn't what you normally play. And so I liked her. I thought she was pretty cool. Now tell us about her a little bit.
So she is a fire genasi. So she is the product of an elven mother and I can't remember the proper pronunciation for the fire genies. The Ifrit, I believe, is the proper
Yeah, I
one.
think
But
so. Yeah.
so she is the product of that joining.
Right.
So in typical genasi fashion, she doesn't know her dad
Right.
because they don't really stick around. They don't normally want anything to do with their children. Uh, and when I was reading that, um, that kind of spoke a little bit to my personal experience with my own father. Um, but instead of going the whole "I never knew my dad, I'm gonna be brooding murder hobo," I was like, what if I spun this and did it to where, she never knew her dad, but she grew up in a very loving, supporting community. She did a lot of work with the orphanage during the winter times, because fire genasies, one would assume they put off body heat. So she kind of
Right.
helped out around the winter times when it was needed, and in that fostered a caring nature for other people. And so very much out of my comfort zone when it comes to um, in-game characters, a little bit closer to how I have developed as a person um, in real life. Before having my child, I was very much like, screw everyone else.
Right.
I'm just gonna keep to myself. But like after having my kid, I've kind of opened up more personality-wise, caring-wise. I, left a lot of baggage behind and kind of did some growing as a person, and I wanted to reflect that in this new character. And so I kind of was like, okay, we're just gonna uh, go with it, and we're gonna play a nice character because normally I play like true neutral or chaotic, chaotic evil characters because that's a part of myself I didn't get to express growing up. I do have not usually bad, but I do generally tend to have like chaotic tendencies. That's where my comfort zone lies. Um,
Right. That's okay.
and but I was like, I want to explore this part of myself that is new, so I'm going to put that into my character and be able to explore it more freely in a non-consequential environment. And so when I made her, I was like, she's going to be caring, she's going to be nice, she's not going to fight without reason, you know, all that jazz.
And she was but she held her own. I mean, she
Uh,
wasn't a push around.
unless she got hit.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, unfortunately, she did have really low AC, but
Yeah, low AC, uh, typical,
yeah,
typical squishy spellcaster, which is again another thing I don't really like to play.
right. Now, when we first met in the campaign, when we first met Arson, I think she was up until I believe the big change happened. She was basically naked, right?
Yeah, so she, Fire Genasi. So her description, like this picture is fairly close to what she looked like, except that her skin was like a charcoal gray color. But because she was a sorcerer who was gifted her powers through that of from a dragon, when I was making the character, I took the appearance because there's like an optional thing you can choose for like they have dragon scales that pop up over time, and so I did it to where hers covered the areas that shouldn't be shown. So kind of like her underbelly, like a dragon. So most of the people walked around naked because she got an AC boost from not wearing armor. And so, I just kind of took it a little bit further.
And that was great. No, I thought it was a great choice. And I did a video earlier today about sex, sensuality, and orientation and that sort of thing. And in this campaign, I really kind of try to keep that the idea of sex, sexuality, orientation, sensuality. I try to keep it all in there. And you don't shy away from it, which is great. So Arson was with this band of folks until she had was it a vision I gave you? I can't remember if it was a vision or a dream. Or the vision, I can't remember, but
I'm trying to remember if it was one time when I was sleeping or if it was when I was meditating.
Yeah, it was one of those two. I couldn't remember, but you basically had to free a dragon, and you were sent. You and the whole party were sent back in time, and there was this really cool sort of like doored gateway that you guys had to. And you had to defeat these. I can't remember if what they were either. It's been so long ago, it seems. But
the guards that
the guard. They were Djinn. That's what they were. They were Djinn. So you fought those guys off, and then you freed that dragon, and you found out that you actually had to sacrifice yourself.
Yeah, I didn't get to find out it.
Yeah, so you had to sacrifice yourself in order to open the gateway. And then when the gateway opened, this big, gigantic red dragon came out, and basically y'all were sent there to recruit him. And he agreed to fight with you, and then he flew away, and then everybody came back to the present. And lo and behold, and standing in front of them was Arson.
Burger Hobo Arson.
But with a much different look. And I misspoke in one of my previous videos. I kept thinking for some reason that you were no longer a Fire Genasi, but that's your race. But your class is what changed, not your race. So I apologize for that. But you now are what? Tell us about the new Arson.
So she is a blood hunter, and I'm gonna pull up some information about that real quick so I don't get anything wrong.
That's good. While you're looking that up, I actually thought about creating a blood hunter character at one point. They really are fascinating.
It is and there's because I didn't when you did the whole I need you to pick another class. I was like, I don't want to go with my go-to, which is just fighter barbarian. I'm gonna hit something and it's gonna die.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to go something that's a little more, finesse.
Yeah.
And has some fun to it. So I went with the Blood Hunter, and the vibes I get from playing the Blood Hunter is it's more along the lines of roguey,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's been interesting exploring all the different kinds of abilities that they have, plus the fact that if you get all your hits off, they do a decent amount of damage.
They do indeed.
Yeah. It was really nice that the other.
Yes, on Sunday I was like, wow.
I didn't know they could do that. So essentially, a blood hunter, they have different. Let me scroll down. They have different houses of what they learn from. So it's kind of sorcerer, where they have different magical bloodlines and stuff like that. But they have different orders, not houses. Sorry. And I went with Order of the Ghost Slayer. The Order of the Ghost Slayer is the oldest orders, having originally rediscovered the secrets of blood magic and refined them for combat against the scourge of the undead. Ghost Slayers seek out and study the moment of death, obsessing over the mysteries of the transition on how it can become corrupted by unholy powers to rise once more. So the way I really like that because during last session we came in contact with undead, and there's an ability that I get called Rite of Dawn, and it allows me to do extra damage to undead, which makes me happy.
But you also take damage too, right?
Yes. And so when you enact the Rite of Dawn, you use what do they call it? I always get the pronunciation wrong. One of the worst parts. Da, 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 da. But you can enact these. You can enact the Rite of Dawn, and it like causes you yourself a D8 of damage. But in doing so, it allows you to, in case you're like wrap your sword in like ethereal holy light, and it gives you an extra D8. But if it's against D8, if it's against undead, you get an extra D8. Right. So you get your I'm using rapier, so I get my D8 damage die plus an extra D8 from the Rite of Dawn plus another D8 against undead.
Yeah, so the pros outweigh the cons on that one.
Oh yeah, and you know, with the when I switched over to the Blood Hunter, I wasn't quite as squishy, and so I'm currently chilling at a very pleasant 109 health.
What's your AC now?
17.
Yeah, because it was what with the other Arson?
Oh.
Yeah. Which is a huge boost, and you know, and it was. I remember in the earlier when you were the first Arson, in the big battles, you kind of had to hang back sometimes because, like you know, like my character in Austin's campaign, which is well now he's not so much because I multi-classed with a rogue, so now I can wear armor, but his AC was really low, and he was always getting hit. It was like always. So I always had to stay in the back, but now I can be up a little bit more up front if I want to be. But
yeah.
So yeah, and I asked Lisa this question too. Tell me a little bit about how the new Arson, the Blood Hunter Arson, how does she feel about this party that she's a part of?
Well, I think because right at first I was like, how would she feel about these people that she just met? And then I had to remind myself that to her, she's been with these people since the beginning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, so her personality might be a little different, but she still bonded to them in a way. Like the original Arson had a thing for another character. This Arson does not. So I tried to make like little minor changes. The previous Arson was very,
And who is that? The previous Arson? Who is she into?
Rohir. I thought it was appropriate.
Yes, Rohir is played by Austin, who is her partner, and I did catch that. By the way, I did catch the subtlety of that change because this Arson is a lot snarkier to him than the other Arson was. And I have noticed that, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, I've tried to keep things subtle because she's not, it's not like this is a whole new alternate reality that was just thrown into this group. No,
yeah.
She's been with them since the very beginning, and so she's still bonded to them in some way, but like she doesn't, like she's not gonna like do whatever she can to please Rohir because she quite frankly doesn't give a fuck what he wants.
Right, that's true.
I don't know if you want me cussing on this or not.
That's okay. Yeah. Well, we'll try to avoid it, but that's okay. It's not. I don't record it for kids, so that's okay. But yeah,
so
go ahead.
Take care what he wants. She's actually not like romantically, but she's like more interested in the personality of his brother because his disregard for, societal standards given what his character went through, intrigues her, and she kind of meshes with that a little bit better than his brother. And so, and that's Osric, not Rohir. And so she's more friendly with him than she is with Rohir. And then with Lisa's character, she's not quite sure, because sometimes they get along, and then, sometimes, for her, literally when it's that time of the month.
Yeah, true. Yeah. It's interesting that you're right. You and Osric your characters have become closer, while Lisa's character and Austin's character have come closer. Like, they confide in each other, and you and Osric tend to go off and party and kind of dance the night away, so to speak.
Yeah, well, with her new personality, she doesn't need a protector anymore.
Right.
Yeah. With the original Arson, she kind of hung back by Rohir because he's the healer of the party, and so she knew it was wise for her safety. And then over that, she kind of like built bonded with him, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
He's of the cloth. And so in this one, she's kind of like, this person can keep up with me. They're more beneficial for me to have to get the job done quicker.
Right.
And so that's why she's kind of gravitating towards his character, because he can hold his own and she can hold her own. And so they can get stuff accomplished very quickly, which was fairly evident in the last combat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Then in our last session, you spent a lot of time in the ethereal plane.
Yeah.
Tell us about that ability.
So when you're a blood hunter and you take Order of the Ghost Slayer, you get an ability called Ethereal Step, which allows you, which I reread the rules on that and I kind of broke them a little bit, and I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I hadn't realized until I reread them before this interview.
That's okay.
But it's called Ethereal Step, and once a day once a short rest, so every short rest you can do this, you can step into the ethereal plane for up to 7 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, instead of popping in and out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's whatever.
Well, the way I had read it, I had thought it originally said you can spend up to 7 minutes into the ethereal plane, so I thought I was able to pop back and forth.
That's okay. It's no big deal.
So, didn't really change the outcome, though.
No, it really didn't. And now we know better for next time when you do it. So that's cool. That's fine.
So I have this. It's an ability that Ghost Slayers are taught. It's one of the few little bits of magic I have that allows me to walk onto the ethereal plane. I can interact and change things on the ethereal plane while I'm there. So that's pretty fun. It was kind of useful, but kind of not last session.
Yeah, I wasn't going to make that easy for you.
I was like, oh, hey, I'm the one person that can do this, maybe. And then I did not make that check, and I'm guessing I didn't make it by a lot.
No, you missed it by 1.
1?
Yeah, missed it by 1. That's why I was like, oh, close, very close. But no, you missed it by 1. Yep.
That hurts a little bit.
You could have snatched that baby right out of there, but you missed it by 1. I was a little like, okay.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
it's ruined my plans.
I was like, dang it, now I'm gonna have to think of what. No, yeah, but it was great. It was neat because, and the funny thing about it, and I was telling Lisa this, is a lot of times, I have the basic story of what we're gonna do every session, but a lot of it I'm making up on the fly. Like, that whole ethereal thing was made up on the fly.
I could tell a little bit.
Because the minute you switched over to the ethereal, I was like, okay, well, I didn't have anything planned for that, but let's play with it and let's see what happens. Luckily, I had already some big baddies up already, so I just had to pull their stat sheets up, and we got to play on the ethereal for a little while. But and that's, to me. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I found it funny because I wasn't using that to stay there. I was originally just using it to get past the immediate danger so I could go look, and then you went with it. I was like, oh, we're staying here. All right.
Yeah, I was like, let's play. Let's do it. I got it. I got a scenario. Let's make it happen. Because the funny thing is because I wanted you to have something fun to do. And instead of just like, oh, here, let me go look, and okay, I saw some stuff. Now let me come back and do some fighting. I was like, no, I'm going to give you something will take your time and let you actually try to do something. And I had fun with it. I don't know if you did or not, but I had a great time with it. There were a couple of close moments there, but I was like, okay. And then you got to come back and did you get to fight in the last? I don't know if you got to fight or not. Did you get to fight in that last bit? Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, when you finally got back and all those fire giant dreadnoughts came bursting through everywhere. I thought everyone was going to lose their crud because they were all like, "Oh, we're going to die. We're going to die." I'm like, "You're not going to die."
Oh my God. Like when they first popped into the room, I was like, I'm not staying here. Like the earthquake.
Like, it's so funny. And this was that moment was a great learning moment for some players, I think. Because it's like, don't piss off your GM, dude.
Austin, oh my gosh, Austin was like, you know what? I bet he just made those other 3 appear after I banished them.
You're I was like, dang right I did. I literally have 12 of them. And I was like, I was only going to throw 4 of them at you. And he was like, oh, well, poof. And I was like, oh, hell no. Like, and then he's all talking smack. And I was like, okay, all right, I can play this game. Let's play this game. So yeah, that was a great example of, careful who you talk smack to.
Yeah. After the game, he's like, I really feel like he only came up with those other 3 because I got rid of the first 2, and I was like,
nope.
I would have done the same thing.
Nope. I've only have the 6 over there, but I have 12 of them. I was like, okay, I have 12 of these guys. So
fight me.
Whether I use them all or not, I was only had them. So I was only going to use 4 of them. And then he was like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, no.
Don't get cocky.
Yep. And I was like, here you go. Let me throw a couple more of them at you. It's like, but you guys got some pretty awesome experience points.
I mean, we almost leveled twice.
You almost leveled twice. Yeah. This is the other thing when I was talking to Lisa about the bad guys you guys fight, is I'm having to homebrew a lot of these things because we're doing an epic style campaign.
Yeah.
I had to go into a lot of these bad guys and up their stats based on your abilities.
Oh yeah. Well, we're like a level 12 now, and
yeah.
I have I'm pulling them up right now so I can see my stats. But my stats are crazy. Dexterity 19, Constitution 25.
Yep.
Intelligence 24, Wisdom 22, Charisma 25, Strength 15, which is my lowest one.
Yep. I'm looking at Lisa's right there, and yeah, I mean your stats are so high. And I was like, okay, but you guys, those fire giant dreadnoughts, they're a CR 15. And wow. I was like, I'm literally having to go 3 CR levels ahead of you just to get something that can basically challenge you.
Yeah.
And then I have to alter their stats.
Yeah, so we're only level 12, but on standard D&D stuff, we'd probably be level 18 or 19.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's some work having to come up with these bad guys to fight you guys, because Osric can sit there and just wail on something 3 times in a row and just hundreds of points of damage. So it's I got to find something that's got massive amounts of hit points. Or I need to find a bad guy that can, in the last one with the guy, the Grawl, paralyzed him and Jade Luna both. And I was like, because just so that you guys could get some hits off, because because he literally could go and just wail and kill and then move on to the next thing. Yeah, because he's pretty powerful.
Yeah, honestly, all he really needs is Rohir to bring him back.
True. That's right. And I think that's kind of why they did it. And in my next session, I'm going to talk to them about that, because Rohir's a cleric, I'm like, did you guys do that so that you guys could basically heal each other? I mean, so you have your own personal medic, that sort of thing. So, yeah. So, and also this, this is a temporal campaign. You guys have jumped back and forth in time. What was one of your favorite moments?
Honestly, my favorite moment was actually when we went back in time to free the dragon that gave me my powers, and then like that Arson wasn't there to see the results.
Right.
Because it was like she was so close to accomplishing the mission that she was given.
Yep.
Her main mission was freeing the dragon that gave her powers, and you so close, and then you took it away.
Yep.
Yep. A different person that never
Yeah.
happened.
The funny thing is, though, is that I wasn't expecting you to do what you did. So when you did it, I was like, okay, well then you disappear, because it's like, because at that moment is when you changed everything, and it popped you basically back to the present.
I thought that's what you wanted me to do.
It is what I wanted you to do, but I didn't. But it wasn't. You went to a very extreme version of what I wanted you to do, which was fine, and it worked great. And it was very dramatic, and it was very, I sacrificed myself to free whatever. And, which was great. And those are the moments that I love. I love that you went beyond what I was expecting,
What were you expecting me to do?
which allowed me to do what we did.
What were you expecting? I'm curious now.
Well, I was just I was expecting a less. I was actually expecting you to find a way around it, as opposed to actually sacrificing yourself like that. I thought, okay, she'll find a way around, and then and then nope, you just went in, and I was like, okay, so then that's the way we're going. So, which was great. Like I said, I love it when you guys do that. It's I know a lot of GMs get all, when the party doesn't do what they want them to do, and I love those moments, because I like it when you guys keep me on my toes when I have to like think off the fly like that sometimes. I love that because it's just the nature of it. So
you almost threw the NPC dwarf into it.
Yeah, you could have.
I momentarily had that thought, and I was like, wait, no, this is the nice character. She would sacrifice herself.
Right. Oh, good. Oh, speaking of that, when you guys have a new member of your party named Baril.
Yes.
So talk about your relationship with him.
It's an occasional fling,
Yeah.
So Arson, the original Arson was, I can't have this dwarf, so I'm going to go with this dwarf kind of thing. It was originally to try and make Rohir jealous after she found out that they knew each other and kind of grew up together. And it was just like, oh, I can't be with you, so I'm gonna go sleep with your friend. And it didn't work.
He was very willing.
He was very willing. And then when she realized that didn't work, she kind of like, this is a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But now then, with the new Arson, he's kind of just like a booty call.
Yeah, and he's totally up for that too. He does not mind that at all.
Yeah, this Arson was just like, you're here to satisfy me, and then don't talk to me otherwise.
Oh, another moment. If this is funny, talking about keeping me on my toes, was when you guys were in Arcadia, and you guys got that house.
Yes.
I mean, they gave you this house. Then there was actually nothing sinister behind it, which was so funny.
I was just like, ooh, free house.
But Rohir was the one that was like, I don't trust this. I don't trust this. I don't trust this. Let's leave. And I was like, well, leave? I was like, okay. I had a whole lot more planned for you guys in Arcadia. But I was like, okay. So then he's like, let's go down into the cellar and blah, 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 the secret passageway. And I was like, okay. That's okay. That's no big deal. So I had to completely create, all of that, and I was like, oh, all right, that's fine, which was fun. It was fun to do. That's when they went in, I think you were gone at that during that one. When they were fighting. Yeah. When they actually went into the underground, you were not there that way. You were not feeling well that session, and that's fine. But we drug you along with us. But yeah, I love it when you guys keep me on my toes, and I try to keep you guys on your toes as well. not knowing what you're doing, what's happening to you, when you're going to jump, if you're going to jump. Every time I do that, I'm over here. I have a dice that I roll, and I roll it probably every 10 minutes or so, just to see if you guys flip back or not. And now the one where you guys were at Eglinton and y'all saw the devastation there, that one was intentional. That dark figure sending you back through time. And that's the other thing is once you get back to the present, that you can't speak anymore.
Arson is mute.
Which was quite humorous when you became mute.
It was actually the first time I'd used that character's ability to go to the ethereal plane too.
That's right. That was the very first time. And you ended up bringing the body of the Azamar out, which then Rohir stabilized or brought him back to life, actually, because he actually died with you.
Got him out. And so, like, everything I did, like, when I went through the tunnel and then, like, I cleaned him and wrapped him, that was for, like, respect of burying him after I got back to the group.
Right.
Back to the group. And then Austin's character was like, I'm just going to bring him back.
I know.
It was like, well, he's probably going to be a lot of pain because I pulled metal that had melted to his flesh.
Yeah. And then you guys got whisked back to time.
We're back there now, right?
Yeah, you're back right where you, I mean, it literally is though you guys returned exactly at the moment that you left.
Okay, good.
So Baril's there with Tara, and he didn't even see you disappear technically. It's almost as though you were standing there and you just like moved a little bit. Like blink of an eye, you were somewhere else.
Like to the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so on the ethereal plane at Eglinton, because, and when I say Eglinton Castle, one of their goals was to get to this castle and team up with this group of basically like resistance fighters going up against this big bad guy. They get there and the castle's completely destroyed and it's in flames, and Arson goes in and goes to the ethereal to see if there's anything on the ethereal. And what did you encounter when you were in the ethereal there?
An unreasonable amount of shadow people, plus the voice of, I'm assuming, is the big bad that we're trying, or one of the big bads that we're trying to get after right now. The shadow people ganged up on me and actually caused the damage that caused me to be mute for 7 days.
Because that was a D8 roll, wasn't it? And that many days, yeah. So 7 days.
Only in the present, though.
And you might be able to get it taken off of you.
I know I could. For a fact, I know I could.
Yeah, because I think Greater Restoration would fix that.
But I don't want to.
Yeah. No, I think it's great, and I'll say I loved that because Rohir was going to cast it on you, and you said no, don't, because you wanted to explore that, and I think that's awesome. I didn't expect that either, so good job on that one. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see Arson in the next 7 days of this journey.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Like,
I think it's great. Now, even the little bit that we did before you guys got sent back was great. Watching that happen was super fun.
Well, I think it's going to be fun because I notice a lot of the times when people type in the chat, no one really pays attention.
Yeah,
and so
I do.
Now it's forcing them to have to pay attention to the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would type something up and it would be like 5 minutes before anyone. I was just like, this happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, sometimes it would get because Austin, God bless him, but he likes to type a lot. And so yours was getting lost in the middle of his. So I had to go back and go, okay, well, then I'd say, hey, Arson said this.
Yeah.
You guys, yeah.
And like, I'm going to play that full on. Like, I'm not going to talk.
Yeah, good. No, I think that's fantastic.
Like, even when you ask me something, I will type it out because
that's great. Yeah.
verbal.
No, I think it's going to be a fun aspect of her to play with, and I think that's going to be super fun. So I was excited that you didn't have it fixed. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a lot of fun, and probably going to be frustrating for everybody else, which I think is great. Um, I think I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I'm excited about it. So all right. So any final thoughts on your party? Last, um, experience, your experience with this campaign. I'm not looking for praise or anything of that nature. Just what you think of it so far.
So far, it's been fairly good of a collaborative effort, especially like we talked about in your first video of like how we designed the world and
Mm-hmm.
had our own region. Like I created the history reasonably for Winterwind Isles.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few fixed points that obviously I couldn't change because it was how the island itself was created, but I kind of added my own spin on that. I got to add cities. I didn't get to change the capital. I got to add some historical events, and it was a lot of fun doing that, and it actually kind of helped me be more attached to where I was from. Whereas in previous characters that I've played, it's been like, oh yeah, I'm from like this place. I don't really care to go back, and I don't care what happens to it. I don't actually have an attachment to it as a person. My character does, but it's hard to manifest that when you don't actually have that. And so actually being able to like help with the history of the island has helped me. Like anytime we've gone back to it, I was just like, is this Winterwind? Is this mine? We're in my place now.
Yep.
And so just being able to do that's been a lot of fun. Plus seeing what the other people in the group have put history-wise into the regions that they've chose has just been a lot of fun. And I look forward to actually exploring the areas that we didn't get to help with. Like
Yes. Yes. Just try. You'll be heading to Valmead next for sure. Like in the present, you'll be going some other places in the past and future, but presently you're going to be heading south here soon. Yep. So you'll get to experience Valmead and the Blue Coast as well.
We were in Iron Hollow,
You were in Iron Hollow in the past.
and now we are in.
You're back at Ire there, back at
Oh,
Eglinton Castle. Yeah, right back, you're back here.
It's been a while since I've seen the whole map.
That's okay. Yeah, you guys were over here the last session.
At some distance.
And now you're back here.
Yeah, but overall, it's just been like a really good collaborative experience. Like when you've gone in and you've like pulled different aspects from people's backstories and like actually taken us to when those events would have happened. It's been a lot of fun. Like when we went back and Lisa's character got to meet herself as a baby. That was interesting. That was fun. And like the whole thing where like we went back and freed the dragon, so I was never gifted powers, and so I was a different thing. And so I kind of went with something that would have been on my island because the Blood Hunter orders are established on the island, and so I just went with one of those because that would have been readily available for her.
Yeah.
And so she would have been able to protect her island in a different way. Sadly, she was disgraced from her order because they normally travel in groups, but she just is a little bit more chaotic version.
Excellent.
And I would like to eventually talk to you some more about how that happened. I talked too fast and I got really lightheaded.
That's okay. Yeah, I would like to know a little bit more so that I can play with that. Yeah, and that's whenever we can discuss whenever if you want to meet a little bit before we play on a Sunday and we can talk about it. Yeah, I'd love to because that way I can. And if you want to just type some stuff out and send it to me, also I can. Yeah, that's one of my big things that's helped me a lot is the typed out bios and backgrounds that you guys have done. So I just go through those and just pick out. It's like, oh, this will be a good thing to explore. This will be a good thing to explore. This will be a good thing to explore. I think the one of the more fun things about this last engagement was Osric and Rohir finding out they have an older brother.
Yeah, that was. Uh, they had them. They finding out they had their like an older brother they never met. I'm just sitting here like, yo, he's dead. That's why y'all don't know him. And then like putting like when my character put the two and two together, that the vision that she had was actually of an evil version of their older brother. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
not dead now, and he's evil.
So that was a fun thing, and it was fun to watch that happen. Because because Rohir, Austin was like, he was thinking I was talking about their father in that riddle that he got, and I was like,
Yeah, the connective.
yep, the two before the two there was the one. So I was like, no, that's not it. But you go with it. I'll let you go with it.
He likes to make fun of my riddle solving ability and my perceptive abilities as a person playing this game. And I'm sitting here like, you're just as bad. Like when you're in the moment, you're not thinking of like a DM. You're thinking like a
Uh-huh.
character. And
I
so,
Yeah, and I love riddles. I love puzzles. I love all of that. I think every once in a while it's good to throw those in there.
see,
Um,
I liked in the couple of times that I've actually DM'd or GM'd, I've tossed in child riddles.
oh yeah.
You just watch them overthink.
Oh, absolutely.
So crazy. It's just like, what gets wetter as it dries? And they're just like, I don't know. Could it? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, it's towel.
Yeah. They dig way too deep. They dig way too deep.
It's
Oh
easy to like laugh at them when you're a DM, but then you get into like the player spot and you're just like, I don't know. Is it a rock?
yeah. Is it this fork? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. I've been there too. It's like, but then you'll get those GMs, and I've worked with GMs before who do riddles, and I love them. And I had this one GM when I was in college, and he would throw out the most complicated riddles. I mean, everybody at the table would be like, "What the heck?" I mean, we'd be like, "I have no idea. We're screwed because none of us knows the answer." And you couldn't look it up on your phone at that point. But oh no, they were overly complicated with the
I
most
like
simplistic answers. But it was like, oh my god, it's like, what are you doing to us? So
I
yeah,
prefer the complicated ones over the easy ones because I overthink everything. It's who I am as a person. And so having something that rightfully deserves to be overthought,
right,
like, oh, I'm not going overboard with this. It actually needs this much critical thinking.
right. So awesome. All right. Well, I mean, that's all I had for you. Thank you for joining me. Um, I'll try and get this up either tonight or tomorrow. But um, you know, it's been great. It's great playing with you, and I look forward to what Arson gets into in the future, in the past, in the present.
I look forward to giving you some more insight on this new Arson's backstory because it's going to
Yes,
flavor
yes, I'm super excited.
on
So
murder hobo seasoning.
that's fantastic. I love
It's
it.
going to be
So
great.
yeah, bring it on.
Both of us going to hate her.
Right. That's great. I think that's fantastic. I love it. So keep it on, keep up the awesome work, and I will see you again soon.
Sunday.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. See you later.